$1. Amazon started with less. Spanx started with $5,000. Apple started with a garage sale. The money was never the point. The question was never, do I have enough? The question was always, do I know what to do with what I have? This video answers that question. From $1 all the way to $1 billion. Every stage, every decision, every trap. Let's go. You have $1. Let's be honest about what that means. It means you have almost no room for error. It means every decision costs you something real. It means you cannot afford to guess. Most people at this stage do one of two things. They either wait, I'll start when I have more money, and never start. Or they spend that dollar trying to look like a business before they are one. They buy a logo, they build a website, they get business cards printed, and then they have $0 and still no customers. So what do you actually do with $1? You solve one problem for one person right now. That's it. At the $1 stage, your only job is to find out if anyone will pay you for what you can do. Not 100 people, not 1,000, one person. Here's a real example of what this looks like. In 1994, Jeff Bezos was working at a hedge fund in New York. He had a good salary, a stable career. He noticed that internet usage was growing at 2,300% per year. He didn't build Amazon first. He made a list of 20 products he could sell online. He narrowed it down to one: books. Why books? Because there were millions of titles. No single store could stock them all. The internet could. He didn't build a warehouse. He didn't raise millions. He set up a website on a basic computer in his garage, and when an order came in, he drove to the bookstore, bought the book himself, and mailed it to the customer. That was Amazon for the first few months. $1 thinking doesn't mean small thinking. It means ruthless focus on finding out if your idea actually works before you spend money making it look like it works. At the $1 stage, your questions are, what problem can I solve today? Who has that problem? Will they pay me to solve it? If yes, you have something. If no, you pivot. Fast, cheap, no drama. The goal of the $1 stage is not to make money. The goal is to prove that money is possible. You proved it. Someone paid you. Then another person. Then a few more. You're making some money. Maybe not enough to quit your job yet. Maybe barely enough to cover your costs. But something real is happening. Welcome to $10,000. This stage feels exciting, and that feeling is dangerous. Because at $10,000, most people make the same mistake. They scale the wrong things. They hire too early. They rent office space. They rebrand. They launch social media accounts and spend hours on content instead of sales. They act like a big company before they've solved the core problem of a small one. Here's what $10,000 actually means. It means your idea works. It doesn't mean your business works. There's a difference. An idea works when people buy it. A business works when people buy it consistently, predictably, and profitably without you manually making it happen every single time. At the $10,000 stage, your job is to find that pattern. Why did your first customers buy? What exactly did they say when they explained it to a friend? What almost made them not buy? What made them come back? Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, spent months standing in Neiman Marcus stores watching women shop. She wasn't selling, she was learning. She was finding the pattern. Because once you find the pattern, you can repeat it, and repetition is where real money starts. The $10,000 stage is also where you face your first real test of character. Because growing from almost nothing to something real means you're now responsible for something beyond yourself. Maybe you have one employee, maybe one client who depends on you entirely. The pressure gets real here. The nights get longer, the doubt gets louder. Most people quit somewhere between $1 and $10,000. Not because the business failed, because they did. The ones who push through, they don't do it because it's easy. They do it because they've already seen that the idea works. And that's enough. 6 figures. For most people, this is the dream. And it should feel good, because getting to $100,000 in revenue is genuinely hard. Most businesses never get here. But here's the problem with $100,000. At this stage, you are almost certainly the reason your business works. You are the salesperson, the customer service team, the product developer, the accountant, the social media manager, the delivery person. You are doing everything, and the business is growing, but you are shrinking. Your health is taking hits, your relationships are suffering, you haven't had a proper weekend in months. This is the founder trap, and it's not just uncomfortable, it's a ceiling. Because a business that runs on one person can only grow as fast as that one person can work, and there are only 24 hours in a day. The move from $100,000 to the next level requires the hardest thing most founders ever do. You have to let go, not of your vision, not of your standards, not of your values. You have to let go of doing everything yourself. You have to hire your first real team member, not a friend who needs a job, not someone cheap who you can control easily, someone who is actually better than you at something specific that your business needs. This is terrifying because it means admitting that you are not the best person to do everything in your own company. But here's the truth. The moment you hire someone who is genuinely better than you at one thing, your business takes its first step toward not needing you for everything. That step is worth more than any marketing campaign, any rebrand, any investor pitch. At $100,000, your job is to start building a team, even if it's just one person, even if it's just part-time. The business has to start becoming bigger than you. $1 million. Say that out loud for a second. $1 million in revenue. You did that from $1. And yet, if you talk to almost every founder who's hit this number, they'll tell you the same thing. It felt nothing like they imagined. Because at $1 million, the problems don't get smaller. They get different. At $1 million, you now have a real team, real costs, real systems that you're trying to build, but that keep breaking down. You have customers who expect consistency from a company that's still figuring out what consistent even looks like. You have employees who need leadership from a founder who has never led anyone before. Research from Shopify in 2025 found that the characteristics most correlated with entrepreneurial success at this stage are not intelligence or education. They are grit, adaptability, and the ability to manage what researchers call the entrepreneurial struggle, the combined weight of business pressure and personal pressure that hits founders hardest right around the $1 million mark. Because this is where it gets real. The fun scrappiness of the early days is gone. Now it's a real business with real payroll, real accountability, real consequences, and the founder is usually still trying to run it like it's a startup when it actually needs to be run like a small company. The shift from $1 million to $10 million is not about working harder. It's about working completely differently. It's about building processes, documented, repeatable, trainable processes, so that the business can grow without the founder being involved in every single decision. Because at $1 million, you still probably are. And that's the ceiling you need to break. $10 million. This is where things get genuinely interesting. Because by this point, you are no longer just a founder. You are a CEO. And those are two completely different jobs. The founder's job is to create something from nothing, to hustle, to sell, to figure it out. The CEO's job is to build the machine that creates things from nothing, without the CEO having to be in the room. Most founders are great at the first job and terrible at the second. Not because they're not smart, because nobody trained them for it. At $10 million, your business likely has a real team, real departments, real managers. And here's the trap at this level. You hired managers, but you're still managing them yourself. You built a sales team, but you're still on the important calls. You created a customer service department, but you're still answering the complaints that come to your personal email. You haven't actually let go. You've just added more people to the system while keeping yourself at the center of it. The move to the next level requires a different question. Not, how do I manage this better? But what would this look like if I wasn't here? Atlassian, the company behind Jira and Trello, hit this stage with 0 salespeople. 0. Their entire growth strategy was build the product so good that it sells itself. Their system was so well designed that it grew without a traditional sales force. At $10 million, the question is, what in your business still requires you personally? And how do you build a system that removes you from that equation? $50 million. At this stage, you're not scrappy anymore. You have a real organization, probably 100 to 300 people, multiple product lines or service offerings, customers who've been with you for years, and a completely new set of problems that have nothing to do with anything you solved to get here. At 50 million, the enemy is complexity. Every new person you hire makes communication harder. Every new product line stretches your team thinner. Every new market you enter divides your focus. The businesses that stall at 50 million usually do so because they tried to do too much. They saw money coming in, they saw opportunity everywhere, and they chased all of it. New markets, new products, new countries. And they spread themselves so thin that nothing worked properly. The companies that pushed through 50 million and kept growing, almost all of them did the opposite. They got simpler, not smaller, simpler. They picked the one thing they did better than anyone else in the world, and they went deeper into it instead of wider. Amazon, in its early years, ignored enormous pressure to expand into new categories. Bezos said no again and again. Books, just books, until the system was so good and so reliable, so fast, so trusted, that expanding into new categories was easy because the machine was already built. At 50 million, the question is not, what else can we do? The question is, what do we do better than anyone else? And how do we become so undeniably good at it that people have no reason to go anywhere else? $100 million, 9 zeros away from where you started. At this stage, most founders feel something unexpected. Distance. Distance from the original idea. Distance from the early team. Distance from the customers. Because at 100 million, you are no longer close to the ground. You're in meetings about meetings. You're reviewing reports about reports. You're making decisions based on data about things happening 3 levels below you that you can no longer directly see. This is not a failure. This is what scale feels like. But it's also where many companies start making mistakes that take years to surface. Because when leadership loses touch with what's actually happening on the ground, bad decisions get made with good data. The numbers say one thing, the reality says another, and nobody in the room is close enough to the customer anymore to notice the difference. The companies that navigate this well, they build systems to stay close even as they grow far. They have founders who still occasionally talk to customers directly, answer support tickets randomly, walk through the product like a new user. Not because it's efficient, because it keeps the compass calibrated. At 100 million, your biggest risk is not competition. It's not the market. It's losing the thing that made your customers choose you in the first place. $500 million. $500 million. At this stage, something shifts in how the world sees you. You are no longer a startup. You are no longer an underdog. You are a target. Competitors who ignored you before are now studying every move you make. Larger companies are thinking about whether to acquire you or destroy you. Regulators are starting to pay attention. The press covers you differently, with more scrutiny, more skepticism, more appetite for the story of how you fell. At 500 million, the external pressure becomes as dangerous as the internal pressure, and the founders who built the company from scratch, who thrived on the chaos and creativity of building something new, sometimes find themselves in a company that needs something they're not built to provide. Stability, process, governance. This is the stage where some founders make the best decision of their career and bring in professional leadership to run the company they built. Not because they failed, because they were honest about what the next stage of growth requires. Sarah Blakely hired a CEO to run Spanx's day-to-day operations while she stayed focused on product and brand, the things she was genuinely brilliant at. That decision didn't diminish what she built. It protected it. At 500 million, the question is brutal but important. Are you the right person to take this to the next level? And if not, what role can you play that actually makes it stronger? $1 billion, a number so large it barely feels real. And yet, in 2025, there are over 5,500 companies with revenues exceeding $1 billion. Businesses built by people who started with almost nothing, who had bad ideas before they had good ones, who hired the wrong people before they found the right ones, who almost quit it more than once before they figured out what they were actually building. So what does a billion-dollar business actually look like? It looks like a system that solves a massive problem for an enormous number of people, and so well that it runs whether the founder is in the room or not. That's it. That's the entire secret. Not magic, not luck, not connections, a system, a massive problem, relentless focus, and enough time. But here's the thing about the billion-dollar stage that nobody tells you. The founders who get here, the ones who actually make it, they don't feel like they've won. They feel like they're still figuring it out. Because the truth is, when the journey from $1 to $1 billion doesn't give you answers, it gives you better questions. And the best founders never stop asking them. Now, while maybe you're watching this and thinking, I just want to make enough to quit my job. That's a completely valid goal. Or maybe you're thinking, I want to build something real, something that lasts. That's valid too. Or maybe you're somewhere in between, still figuring out what you actually want. Here's what I want you to take from this video. The journey from $1 to $1 billion is not a straight line. It's not a checklist. It's not something you plan perfectly in advance and execute without mistakes. It's a series of stages, each one with its own problems, its own skills required, its own version of you that needs to show up. And the only way to get from one stage to the next is to actually be in one stage. Not planning for 5 stages ahead, not worrying about problems you don't have yet. The $1 stage requires $1 thinking. The $10 million stage requires 10 million thinking. They are different. They require different people, even if that person is you at different points in your life. So wherever you are, start there. Not with the billion-dollar plan, not with the perfect idea, not when the timing is right. Start with $1, start with one problem, start with one person willing to pay you, and then, one stage at a time, figure out the rest. Jeff Bezos started in a garage with a computer and a stack of books. Sarah Blakely started with $5,000 and a pair of scissors. MailChimp started as a side project by two designers who needed a tool to make their own work easier. None of them started with a billion-dollar plan. They started with a $1 question. Does this work? And once they knew it did, they never stopped asking the next version of that question. At every stage, through every failure, through every ceiling they had to break, the question never stopped. The building never stopped. The only thing that stopped for all of them was the option of going back to the way things were before. Once you really start, that option disappears and everything else becomes possible. Most people will watch this video, nod their head, and go back to waiting for the right time, the right idea, the right amount of money. Don't be that person. If something in this video made something click for you, subscribe, because the people who build real things never stop learning how, and neither should you.